The wedding invitation went out on a Tuesday in March. Cream-colored cardstock, elegant script, a small pressed flower in the corner that my fiancé Adam had insisted on because he knew I loved wildflowers. We had addressed each envelope by hand, sitting at our kitchen table with glasses of wine and a playlist of songs we wanted played at the reception. I wrote my parents' names carefully: Mr. and Mrs. Richard and Susan Hayes. Their address in the suburb where I had grown up, where the lawns were always perfect and the houses all looked vaguely similar in that upper middle class way that signals comfort without ostentation. I put the invitation in the mailbox myself, walked it to the blue postal box on the corner, dropped it in, heard it land with a soft thud against the other envelopes. Then I went home and waited. The RSVP deadline was April 15th. 1 month, April 15th came and went. No response. I called my mother on April 16th. Mom, did you get the wedding invitation? Oh, yes. I meant to call you about that. Her voice was distracted, the way it always was when she was doing something else while talking to me. Folding laundry, probably, or organizing her pantry. She was always organizing something. So can you come? Well, that is the thing, honey. The date is difficult for us. Difficult how? Your brother has a work conference that weekend. We promised we would watch the kids. My brother, of course. Mason has a work conference on a Saturday in June. It is a whole week, actually. The conference is Monday through Friday, but he and Jennifer are extending it into a weekend getaway. They really need the break. The kids have been exhausting lately. I sat down. I had been standing in my kitchen, still in my scrubs from the hospital, exhausted from a 12-hour shift. My feet hurt, my back hurt, and my mother was telling me she could not come to my wedding because my brother needed her to babysit. So you are choosing to babysit instead of coming to my wedding. It is not about choosing, Kelsey. It is about timing. If your wedding was a different weekend, of course we would be there. We picked this date 8 months ago. We sent save the dates in November. I know, but things come up. You understand. I did understand. I had understood my entire life. What about just coming for the ceremony? I tried. You do not have to stay for the reception. Just come see me get married. A pause. I could hear her thinking, calculating, trying to find the diplomatic way to say no. We will try, she said, but I cannot make any promises. You know how unpredictable travel is with the kids. Mason's children, my niece and nephew, ages 6 and 4, whom I had met a total of 8 times in their lives. Because Mason lived 3 hours away and my parents always drove to visit him, never asked me to come along. Okay, I said. I am sure it will be a lovely wedding, my mother said. Send us pictures. She hung up before I could respond. I need to tell you about Mason so you understand the pattern. Mason was 3 years older than me. He was the golden child in the most literal sense. Blonde, athletic, effortlessly charming in the way that made teachers love him and coaches want him on their teams. He had played lacrosse in high school, gone to a good state university on a partial scholarship, married his college girlfriend, produced 2 photogenic children, and now worked in pharmaceutical sales, making a comfortable living. He was everything my parents had wanted in a child. I was everything they had not expected. Where Mason was outgoing, I was quiet. Where Mason excelled at sports, I excelled at science. Where Mason brought home friends and girlfriends and filled the house with noise, I brought home books and spent hours in my room studying. My parents did not know what to do with me. They were not cruel. They did not neglect me in obvious ways. I was fed, clothed, sent to school, given a room of my own. But there was always a sense that I was slightly peripheral to the main story of the family, which was about Mason and his achievements and his life. When Mason made varsity lacrosse, my parents threw a party. When I made the honor roll for the 4th year in a row, my mother said, "That is nice, honey," and went back to planning Mason's graduation party. When Mason got into college, my father cried. When I got into college, the same college, with a better scholarship, my father said, "Good job," and asked if I had seen the game last night. The pattern was established early. Mason was celebrated. I was expected. And I learned, over time, to stop expecting celebration. I met Adam when I was 26. I was working as a nurse at a regional hospital, 3 years out of school, still paying off student loans and living in a small apartment with a roommate who microwaved fish at midnight. Adam was a software engineer, quiet and thoughtful, with dark hair that fell into his eyes and a smile that felt like a secret he was sharing just with me. We met at a coffee shop. Klitsch, I know, but it happened. He was reading a book about urban planning. I was reading a medical journal. We both reached for the same chair. Sorry, he said. No, you take it. We could share it, he said. Or we could get a table and both sit down like normal people. We got a table. We talked for 3 hours. He asked for my number. I gave it to him. 6 months later, he asked me to move in with him. A year after that, he proposed. I called my parents the night we got engaged. My mother answered, "That is wonderful, Kelsey. I am so happy for you." Her voice was warm, genuine. For a moment, I let myself believe things might be different this time. "We are thinking June for the wedding," I said. "Nothing huge. Maybe 80 people. I will send you dates once we narrow it down." "That sounds perfect. Let me know what you need from us." I waited for her to ask about Adam, about the proposal, about how I was feeling. She did not ask. "I should go," she said. "I am in the middle of cooking dinner." "But congratulations, honey." "Really?" She hung up. I sat on the couch with the phone in my hand, staring at the ring on my finger, and felt the familiar weight of being loved adjacently. Loved in theory, but not in practice. We planned the wedding ourselves. Adam's parents helped. They were kind, generous people who treated me like a daughter from the moment we met. They paid for the flowers. They helped us find a venue. They showed up to every planning meeting, every tasting, every decision, with enthusiasm and support. My parents did none of that. I invited my mother to come dress shopping. She said she was busy but to send pictures. I sent pictures. She responded 3 days later with a thumbs up emoji. I asked my father if he wanted to walk me down the aisle. He said, "Of course," in the same tone he might use to agree to pick up milk from the store. I stopped expecting more. It was easier that way. The wedding was on June 12th. It was a Saturday. Clear skies, warm but not hot, the kind of perfect early summer day that feels like a gift. The venue was a restored barn on the edge of town, with fields of wildflowers and strings of lights and everything we had imagined. Adam's parents arrived early. His mother cried when she saw me in my dress. His father shook Adam's hand and pulled him into a hug and said, "You are a lucky man." My parents did not come. No phone call, no text, no explanation. I stood in the bridal suite, in the dress I had chosen alone, looking at my phone, waiting for a message that never arrived. Adam found me there 20 minutes before the ceremony. "Hey," he said softly. He was already in his suit, looking unfairly handsome, and his eyes were worried. "You okay?" "They are not coming." He did not ask who. He knew. "I am sorry," he said. "It is fine." "It is not fine. I know, but it has to be." I set down my phone, looked at him. "Can we just get married? Can we just do this without them? We can do anything you want," he said. Adam's father walked me down the aisle. It was not the same, but it was something. And when I reached the front and saw Adam waiting for me, tears in his eyes, I realized that I was not marrying my family. I was marrying him. And maybe that was enough. My parents sent a card 2 weeks after the wedding. It arrived in the mail on a Thursday. Generic congratulations card from a drugstore, the kind with golden bells and script that said "Best wishes on your wedding day." Inside, a check for $500 and a note in my mother's handwriting. "Sorry we could not make it. Hope you had a beautiful day. Love, Mom and Dad." I stared at that card for a long time. $500. As if that was the currency of missed moments. As if money could replace presents. I deposited the check. Then I threw the card away. Adam and I settled into married life easily. We were good together. He made me laugh. I made him think. We cooked dinners and watched movies and talked about buying a house someday, about the future we were building together. Adam worked in tech. His company was growing, and he was good at what he did. Software architecture, systems design, the kind of work that paid well but required long hours and constant learning. He did not complain. He loved it. I kept working at the hospital, pediatric oncology. Hard work, emotionally draining, but important. I was good at it. The kids trusted me. The parents trusted me. It mattered. We saved money, both of us, methodically, the way people do when they grow up without much and learn that security is something you build yourself. 2 years after the wedding, Adam's company went public. I did not fully understand what that meant until he came home one evening with a look on his face I had never seen before. Shock maybe, or disbelief. "We need to talk," he said. We sat at the kitchen table. He showed me numbers on his laptop, stock options, vesting schedules, current market value. "I am not following," I said. The stock I was given when I joined the company. It vested when we went public. The value. He paused, rubbed his face. Kelsey, it is worth $2.4 million. I stared at him. Million. We sat there in silence for a long time. What do we do? I asked finally. We talk to a financial advisor. We pay off debt. We invest most of it. We do not do anything stupid. And maybe, he said carefully, we buy something we have always wanted but could never afford. We bought the Porsche 3 months later, not because we needed it, not because it was practical, but because Adam had grown up poor, with a father who worked construction and a mother who cleaned houses, and he had spent his childhood looking at cars he knew he would never own. And now he could own one. We went to the dealership on a Saturday. Adam test drove it. I sat in the passenger seat, watching his face, watching the way his hands gripped the steering wheel like he could not quite believe it was real. We are really doing this? He asked. We are really doing this, I said. He bought it that day. I did not post about the car on social media. Neither did Adam. We were not people who displayed wealth. We had both grown up with too little to be comfortable flaunting too much. But my brother saw it. Mason and his family came to visit on the 4th of July. It was one of their rare trips to our city, and my parents had decided to come along. A family reunion, my mother called it, though it was the first time they had visited me in the 3 years since Adam and I had gotten married. They arrived in the afternoon. I was making potato salad in the kitchen when I heard Mason's voice from the driveway. Holy hell, is that a Porsche? I looked out the window. Mason was standing in front of our garage, where Adam had parked the car. My father was next to him, both of them staring. My mother came into the kitchen. Kelsey, whose car is that? Adam's. That is a Porsche. I know. Those cost over $100,000. I know that too. She stared at me. How can you afford that? I set down the knife I was using to chop celery, turned to face her. Adam's company went public. His stock vested. We could afford it. His stock. She blinked. How much stock? Enough. I did not elaborate. I went back to chopping celery. My mother stood there for a moment longer, then went back outside. The energy shifted after that. Suddenly, my parents were interested in our house, in our jobs, in our lives. My father asked Adam about his work, actually listened to the answers, asked follow-up questions about the tech industry and market trends. My mother asked me about nursing, but in a different way than before. Not how is work, in the obligatory tone she usually used. But are you still at the hospital? What is your position now? Do you manage people? It felt like being audited. Mason was quieter than usual. He kept looking at the car, at our house, modest, but nicely furnished, in a good neighborhood, at the kitchen appliances, which were new because we had renovated 6 months earlier. During dinner, my father made a comment. You two have done very well for yourselves. We have worked hard, Adam said, clearly. That is quite a car. I have wanted one since I was a kid, Adam said. It felt like the right time. My father nodded, smiled, the kind of smile that does not reach the eyes. After dinner, my mother pulled me aside. I feel like we have not been seeing enough of you, she said. I almost laughed. Almost. You have not seen me in 3 years, Mom. I know. We have been so busy with the grandkids, but we should change that. We should make more of an effort. Why now? She looked genuinely confused. What do you mean? Why now? Why not 3 years ago when I got married and you did not show up? Why not 2 years ago when I called you on my birthday and you forgot? Why now? I do not know what you are talking about. Yes, you do. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked away. We should have been there for your wedding, she said finally. I know that, but Kelsey, you have always been so independent. You never needed us the way Mason did. There it was, the excuse, the justification, the same words I had heard my entire life, rephrased and repackaged but meaning the same thing. You were fine without us, so we gave our attention to someone else. I needed you, I said quietly. I have always needed you. You just never noticed. I walked away before she could respond. They stayed for 3 days. 3 days of my mother suddenly wanting to help with things, offering to watch a future grandchild if Adam and I ever had children, asking if we needed anything for the house. 3 days of my father talking to Adam like they were old friends, asking about investment strategies, mentioning that he and my mother were thinking about retirement planning and could use some advice. 3 days of Mason being quiet and tight-lipped, barely speaking to me. leaving early on the last day with a vague excuse about traffic. And 3 days of me smiling politely and saying very little, because I was watching something happen in real time that I had suspected for years but never seen so clearly. They had not come because they missed me. They had come because we had money now. After they left, I sat Adam down. "I need to tell you something," I said. "Okay." My parents did not come here to see me. They came because they saw the car and realized we have money. "I know." I looked at him. "You know, Kelsey, I have known your parents for years. I have watched them ignore you, forget your birthday, skip our wedding. And now, 3 years later, they show up because I bought a car." "Yes, I know." "Why did you not say anything?" "Because it is your family." I did not want to overstep. I sat back, looked at the ceiling, felt something crack open in my chest. "I do not think I want them in my life anymore," I said. "Then you do not have to have them in your life. It feels wrong to cut off your parents." "What feels wrong," Adam said gently, "is the way they have treated you. You do not owe them access to your life just because they are your parents." I did not cut them off immediately. Instead, I started documenting every phone call, every text message, every interaction. I wanted to see the pattern clearly, wanted to confirm what I already knew before I made a decision. The pattern was immediate and undeniable. My mother called twice in the week after they left. Both times, she asked about our finances, subtle questions, wrapped in concern. "Are you sure you are investing wisely? Have you thought about estate planning? You should really talk to a financial advisor." She had never asked about my finances before. Not when I was paying off student loans. Not when I was living in a tiny apartment. Only now, when she thought there was money to be concerned about. My father sent an email asking if Adam would be willing to look at some investment portfolios he was considering. "I know you are busy, but I value your opinion." He had never valued Adam's opinion before, had barely spoken to Adam except in polite, surface-level conversation. And Mason sent a text 3 weeks after the visit. "Hey, I know things have been weird, but I wanted to ask if you and Adam might be willing to help Jennifer and me with something. We are looking at buying a bigger house and we are a little short on the down payment. Could you loan us $40,000? We will pay you back." I stared at that text for a long time. $40,000 from the sister he barely spoke to, from the wedding he had attended but left early, from the person he had ignored for most of his adult life. And now, because he thought I had money, he was asking me to fund his life. I showed the text to Adam. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I want to say no, then say no. He will be angry. Let him be angry." I typed out a response, deleted it, typed it again, deleted it again. Finally, I wrote, "I cannot help you with that." I hit send before I could second guess myself. Mason responded an hour later. "Seriously? You are driving a Porsche and you cannot help your own brother buy a house?" I did not respond. He sent 3 more messages over the next 2 days, each one angrier than the last. Each one making it clear that he believed my money was somehow his business, that my success was something he was entitled to benefit from. I blocked his number. My mother called after that. "Mason told me you refused to help him." "That is correct. Kelsey, he is your brother. Family helps family." Where was family when I got married and no one showed up? Silence. "That is different," my mother said finally. "How is it different?" "That was a scheduling conflict. This is about money, about helping your brother when he needs it. Mason does not need my money. He wants my money. There is a difference. You are being selfish." The word hung in the air between us. Selfish. I had been called many things in my life. Quiet, serious, independent, but never selfish. Because selfish implied that I took things for myself. And I had spent my entire life being the person who needed nothing, who asked for nothing, who accepted whatever scraps of attention were left after everyone else had been served. "I am not being selfish," I said. "I am setting boundaries." "Boundaries," my mother repeated. "You sound like you have been talking to a therapist." "I have been talking to a therapist for 2 years." Another silence. "Why would you need a therapist?" I could have said a lot of things. I could have explained the years of feeling invisible, the wedding they missed, the birthdays they forgot, the constant, quiet message that I was less important than Mason, less worthy of time and attention and love. But I did not say any of that. Instead, I said, I needed a therapist because I spent 30 years believing that being easy was the same as being loved. And I am done believing that. I hung up. What happened next unfolded over several weeks. learned through a cousin who still spoke to both me and my parents. My parents told the extended family that I had refused to help Mason. They framed it as cruelty, as greed, as a daughter who had become too proud, too wealthy, too selfish to care about her own family. The family divided. Some people believed them, sent me messages asking how I could turn my back on my brother, accused me of forgetting where I came from. Others did not believe them, reached out quietly, privately, to say they had seen the pattern too, that they understood. My Aunt Laura, my mother's sister, called me directly. I heard what happened, she said. I am sure you heard their version. I did, but I also know your mother, and I know how she has treated you your whole life. So I am calling to ask for your version. I told her everything, the wedding they missed, the years of being second, the sudden interest when they saw the car, Mason's request for money, my mother's accusation of selfishness. Laura was quiet for a long time after I finished. I am sorry, Kelsey, she said. I should have said something years ago. I saw it, the way they treated you versus Mason, but I told myself it was not my place. It was not your fault. Maybe not, but I could have done better. And I want you to know that I believe you, and I support you. Thank you. What are you going to do now? I do not know yet. I hired a lawyer, not to sue anyone, not to fight, but to protect what Adam and I had built. Her name was Margaret Solis. She was in her 50s, sharp, efficient, and unimpressed by emotional manipulation. What do you need? She asked. I need to make sure my parents cannot access anything that belongs to me or my husband. I need to make sure that if something happens to us, our assets go where we want them to go, not to family who will appear out of nowhere claiming rights. Estate planning, Margaret said. Trusts, very clear documentation. I can do that. We spent 2 weeks putting everything in place. Wills, trusts, powers of attorney that named Adam's parents, not mine. Documentation that made it clear, legally and irrevocably, that my parents had no claim to anything we owned. It felt harsh, but it also felt necessary. My parents found out about the estate planning somehow. I do not know how. Maybe my father had connections at the law firm. Maybe someone saw the paperwork being filed. My mother called, furious. You wrote us out of your will? I created a will that reflects my wishes. We are your parents, and I am an adult. I get to decide who inherits my estate. This is about Mason, is it not? You are punishing us because we asked you to help him. This is not about Mason. This is about me protecting what I have built. From your own family? Yes. She hung up without another word. I thought that would be the end of it. It was not. 2 months later, my father showed up at my house unannounced. I opened the door and there he was, standing on my porch, looking older than I remembered, thinner, tired. Can I come in? He asked. I let him in, not because I wanted to, but because I was too surprised to say no. We sat in the living room. He looked around at the furniture, the art on the walls, the life Adam and I had built. You have a nice home, he said. Thank you. I came to apologize. I waited. Your mother and I, we have not handled things well with you for a long time. No, you have not. We did not realize how much we were pushing you aside, how much we were prioritizing Mason. He paused. Or maybe we did realize it, but we told ourselves it was okay because you seemed fine. I was not fine. I know that now. I looked at him. His hands were shaking slightly. He looked like a man who had been told something he did not want to hear and was still processing it. Why are you here, Dad? Because I do not want to lose you. You already lost me. You lost me years ago. You just did not notice until I had something you wanted. He flinched. That is not fair. It is completely fair. You did not come to my wedding. You did not call on my birthday. You did not care about my life until you saw that car in the driveway. The car has nothing to do with this. The car has everything to do with this. Because that car meant money. And money meant I was finally worth your attention. He sat there, silent, and I watched him try to find words that would fix 30 years of neglect. He could not find them. I am sorry, he said finally. I know you are, but sorry does not change what happened. What can I do? Nothing. There is nothing you can do. The time to do something was 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 3 years ago when I got married. But you did not do anything then. And now it is too late. It is not too late. It is for me. He stood up, looked at me for a long moment. Then he walked to the door. I love you, Kelsey, he said. I know, I said. But love is not enough when it only shows up when it is convenient. He left without another word. I did not hear from my parents after that. No calls, no texts, no attempts to repair what had been broken. And I did not reach out either. I had spent my entire life trying to earn their attention, trying to be worthy of the love they gave so freely to Mason and so sparingly to me. I was done trying. Adam and I went on with our lives. We traveled. We bought art we loved. We donated to causes that mattered to us. We started talking about having children, about what kind of parents we wanted to be. And every time we drove somewhere in the Porsche, every time I saw that flash of red in the garage, I thought about how strange it was that an object had revealed so much about the people who were supposed to love me. The car did not change me. It changed what I represented to them. I was no longer the quiet daughter who needed nothing. I was a person with resources, with wealth, with something they wanted access to. And when I said no, I became the problem. A year after my father's visit, I got a letter in the mail. It was from my mother, handwritten, 4 pages. I almost threw it away without reading it, but curiosity won. The letter was an apology, a real one, I think. She wrote about how she had been thinking about the past, about the choices she made, about how she had failed me. She did not make excuses. She did not blame anyone else. She simply said, "I was wrong. I see that now, and I am sorry." At the end of the letter, she wrote, "I do not expect you to forgive me. I do not expect you to let me back into your life. I just wanted you to know that I see what I did, and I am sorry I did not see it sooner." I read the letter twice. Then I put it in a drawer and did not respond. Not because I did not believe her, but because an apology does not erase the past. It does not give me back the wedding she missed or the years she ignored or the message, delivered over and over, that I was not worth her time. An apology is a start, but it is not a finish. I am 34 now, Adam, and I have a daughter. Her name is Ruth, after my grandmother. She is 2 years old, with dark curls and a laugh that sounds like music. We are careful with her, intentional. We tell her she is loved. We show up for every moment, big and small. We do not make her earn our attention. My parents have never met her. They know she exists. I send a birth announcement, mostly out of obligation. They send a card and a savings bond. I deposited the bond in an account for Ruth and did not respond to the card. Sometimes I think about reaching out, about letting them meet their granddaughter, about trying one more time. But then I remember the wedding they missed, the phone calls they ignored, the sudden interest when they thought I had something they wanted. And I realize that some relationships cannot be repaired. Some damage is too deep. The Porsche sits in our garage, next to the sensible SUV we bought when Ruth was born. We do not drive it often anymore. It is impractical for a family, but we keep it because it represents something. Not wealth, not status, but the moment we realized that we did not need anyone's approval to live the life we wanted. The moment we chose ourselves. I think about my parents sometimes. Wonder if they are happy. Wonder if they understand what they lost. I do not wonder enough to call, because the truth is this. I spent 30 years making myself small so they would not have to make room for me. I spent 30 years being easy, being independent, being fine, because that was the role I was given. And the day I stopped playing that role was the day I got my life back. I do not need them anymore. I never did. I just needed to believe I was worth showing up for. And now I do. So here is my question for you. Was I wrong to cut my parents out after they ignored me for years and only showed interest when they saw I had money? Some people say family is family and you should always forgive. Others say that respect has to be earned, even from parents. If your parents missed your wedding but suddenly wanted a relationship when they realized you were successful, what would you do? Would you give them another chance? Or would you walk away like I did? I genuinely want to know what you think. Share your honest opinion in the comments. If you believe people should face the consequences of their actions, hit subscribe. I have got more stories of justice that will blow your mind.